Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day two of the She Loves Tech Global Summit 2021. We're delighted to have you here bright and early on a Saturday morning. We've had a fantastic first day yesterday with amazing speakers from all over the world. Everybody from Maria Ressa, this year's Nobel Peace Prize winner, only the 18th woman to ever have won a Nobel Peace Prize. We had Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn and a self-proclaimed feminist. We had Jesse Draper, fourth-generation venture capitalist, and many, many, many more. My favorite panel for yesterday was really the one we closed out with about how technology can really change the game for women and girls in Afghanistan, and in many ways reminded me of why we actually built She Loves Tech to begin with, to see how technology can really change the game and can empower women and girls. Now, without much further ado, I love to kick off day two of the She Loves Tech Global Summit with the panel that everybody has been eagerly waiting for. I think we've received the most queries out of any for this next panel, focusing on the rise of the creator economy and how technology is changing the game for a new generation of creators and micro entrepreneurs as they build content, their brands, and their empires. So, without much further ado, let's begin. Hi. Hi, everybody. I have here with me
Hi.
today, I have with here with me today, Kane Lim, Kelly Mealy, both of Bling Empire. Um, I believe Netflix biggest ever grossing unscripted reality show, and Althea Lim, my dear friend and the CEO and co-founder of Gushcloud International. So, Althea, with Gushcloud becoming Asia's largest influencer marketing agency, you essentially created a category which didn't really exist before, and not many people understood when you first started almost 10 years ago. Althea, perhaps you can set the scene for us. What
Mm,
is the creator economy? What does it mean?
okay, sure. Hi guys. Good morning from Singapore. And hello, Kelly and Kane. I know you guys are in different parts of the US. And of course, Virginia is. Thank you for having me here today. I think just to set like really the scene of like the creator economy. I think 10 years ago, or like maybe about 12 years ago, the creator economy almost kind of like started out with blog. So a lot of like blogging and a lot of blog management in that sense. So it's like a lot of like the first phase of creators were bloggers. So people who would write quite long articles and then like put a lot of their pictures. And then I think what happened was there was a rise of like social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And so the content started to diversify. So on Facebook, you would write like, for example, different kinds of content. On Instagram, the content became a little bit more short form with just a picture, a nice picture, and then like a caption. And then on YouTube, it went into vlogging. So that's just kind of like the evolution of how influencers created content on these types of platforms. So specifically, if you were to ask me what does the creator economy entail, it just is really defined as the economy of anyone or everyone who creates content on any social media platforms and makes money out of it. That's it.
Absolutely. And I think, in this panel, we were talk about how that's evolved. As a venture capitalist myself, I think a couple of years ago, I was pretty skeptical of what we call the creator economy. Actually, I first saw the rise of the creator economy in China. And
Mm,
almost 6 years ago now, I saw lots of Chinese venture capitalists actually really investing in these influencers and the content they were creating. But that content was only, a means to really creating an entire empire, their brand. And now I think I see the world catching on, especially in the last 2 years. In the midst of COVID, I've seen this entire generation of micro entrepreneurs sort of spring up. So now I want to turn the spotlight to Kelly and Kane. We were super excited to hear you, Kelly. Um, Perhaps you can tell us a little more about what you did before you became the executive producer of Bling Empire. What led you to create Bling Empire? Do you think that the success of Crazy Rich Asians paved the success for Empire?
Yeah, so for me, I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I'm a producer, mostly scripted. I do mostly scripted projects with films and television. When I read the book Crazy Rich Asians, because Nina Jacobson at the time bought the rights for the book to turn into a movie, which obviously became a huge success. When I read it, I was like, oh my God, these are real version. These are actually fictional characters of my real friends. So start putting the project together, and the project obviously went through a lot of different changes. And King, being a really close friend of mine, has been my support system since the beginning, has been rooting like for me since the beginning and working with me to put this project together. And as far as Crazy Rich Asian goes, of course, it really, really Crazy Rich Asians, fresh off the bowl, as well as a lot of other Asian-led project, has really paved the way for Crazy Rich Asian for Bling Empire. And now that Bling Empire being the first unscripted show for all Asian-led cast, hopefully we can pave the ways for other Asian projects for mass media.
Absolutely. But like this idea of creating this
Mm.
reality show, like was there a eureka moment? Like, did you just come up with it one day, Kelly? Like was there an inspiration behind it?
When I read the book Crazy Rich Asians. So I had a meeting with UTA about a little bit almost over 5 years ago with Nina Jacobson, who at the time just got off producing Hunger Games, and she's like, I bought the rights for this little book called Crazy Rich Asians, and she's like, you should read it. We should produce it together. When I read it, I was like, no, this is an unscripted show. So that's how the project came about.
Beautiful. Kane, now on to you. Um, Perhaps you can, how did you end up on Bling Empire? I mean, apart from like, Kelly being your really good friend, what were you doing? I think prior to becoming an actor. My understanding is that I think you had a real estate background. Maybe you can share.
Hi, Virginia. Thank you for having me. And, hopefully next year we could do, this in person, and what an honor. And Laupan, good morning from to Singapore. Hi. I
That
call
is
Althea
very
my
Laupan.
Laupan. I call her my Laupan. Back to your question. Before, Bling Empire, I was always focused on real estate. I had a little side gig, on social media. I think I kind of represent the underdog. If you look past, my first few posts, I wasn't like, a stereotypical like good looking model, I was overweight, but I love fashion. And, I was like, this is such a good way to kind of share your love and your passion. And, just started posting slowly and like sooner. And one day out of the blue, my phone just died. I was like, what happened? My battery just died, right? So I looked, so it was like, bad go Riri started following you. I on that day, I remember I had like 20, 30,000 people just following me on that day because of her following. So I really did this. It kind of involved into Bling Empire with Crazy Rich Asians paving the way. So Kelly, we worked on this. I know most people know that this show came out in January, but we worked on this project for like 3 to 5 years. And, it came to fruition, and like, I'm just so happy with the success. Yeah.
Absolutely. Back to you, Altia. With Gushcloud, Gushcloud essentially built an entire ecosystem which didn't exist before, with the ability to empower thousands of influencers to build, create, and monetize, their brands. What do you think is the biggest enabler that creators need to be, for creators to be successful today? Perhaps, for all three of you, really.
I think that a lot of times when people think about a success of a content creator today, people think that, oh, it must be because they had a really good photographer, or oh, it must be really because they had like this videographer that knew how to post edit them in the way that they wanted to be post edited, or they must be like, or they must have had a team that came up with this awesome strategy for them. But actually, to be genuinely honest, what really leads to a successful creator today, after being in Singapore and then at the same time living some parts of Hollywood alongside with like Kane and Kelly, it's just the fact that if the creator is consistent and if the
Mm,
creator is willing to hustle. And so
mm,
actually what leads to successful creators today is if they are willing to be entrepreneurs. And I think this is really just something that people don't talk a lot about. People think that just because, oh, I have a relationship with YouTube, or I have a relationship with Facebook, or in China I have a relationship with this platforms, I'm just going to be famous. But that really doesn't happen. It happens
mm,
because the person wakes up every day and say, I want to go to work. And that's exactly what happens with Kane and Kelly. And I'll just tell this story, right? Just to keep things a little bit more interesting. when I met Kane, like what, 2.5 to 3 years ago. Actually, we met many years ago when I was a party promoter and he was coming to my parties. But 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 when I met him like 2.5 to 3 years ago, he was telling me about this project called Bling Empire. And to be genuinely honest, very, very, very few people believed in it. And they were like, really? Can like, oh, riding off the success of Crazy Rich Asian, can something really turn into an unscripted program? And to be honest, nobody knew. I think like Kane and Kelly just really had that faith in what they were building. And I think that was just so important. They went out, they hustled every day. Like the way I saw Kane hustling is like the way I see myself, or like Virgie, you hustling for your own company. And so from that perspective, that was when I realized that, okay, it's definitely gonna work, because they're hustling so hard that they talked to everybody that I knew in Hollywood. And from that perspective, that was where we were like, okay, we also need to jump on this and have that little bit of blind faith as well alongside with them. So if you ask me, creators today, successful creators today need to do a couple of things. Number one, while they need to have their own audiences and engage fan base, they also need to move up the entertainment value chain, which is important, which is exactly what Kane and Kelly have done. They have moved up the entertainment value chain. And when we think about what moving up the entertainment value chain means, is that they don't just become content creators or influencers. They start to create their own shows. They start to develop a talent of their own, either music or acting or scripting or anything. And then what they typically do is they typically end up in a lot of investments, creating their own consumer brands or investing in consumer brands, which is exactly what the both of them have done. So if you ask me, it's not just like creating content, it's really been an entrepreneur.
And also, I think just to lead off Althea as well, I think having the right engagement and engaging your followers as well. I think most people, I reply to, before the show, I try to reply to every single person, saying thank you or just giving a shout out, because that, the people that follow me 5-6 years ago are, the super hard fans of Bling Empire. And also because, when we shot the show, I knew we had something special. We had the show. I think why the show was successful, we had all ranges in terms of age. We had like Jamie, who's 21. We had like Anna Shea, which is in her 60s. And I think because of that, and also like we were just ourselves, and we're unafraid of showing like our humor, unafraid to talk about sex, unafraid to talk about, like our feelings. I think we kind of, that's why the show exploded. And I give so much credit to Kelly, because no one sees the hard work that she put into this project, creating decks, and goes for meetings. We pitched it to, I think we had the sizzle reel, and we pitched it to numerous companies, and Amazon and Netflix actually were the ones really interested. And also, like, I have to give credit to Jeff Jenkins. He's also the EP on the show. He created The Simple Life, and also the famous Kardashians. And you look at them and how they have transformed, this platform to become like entrepreneurs and, really build like billion-dollar brands. It is quite fascinating and amazing. And I think the word hustle resonates with me because, most people think, oh, you get this deal out, you just get this deal from, like I'm the one reaching out. You can ask Althea, I'm the one reaching out to brands on my social media. I'm the one DMing hotels. I'm the one DMing like car brands. Hey, would you guys do like a partnership? So I don't think many people notice how much, the work that goes to it. Most people might see just the success, but there's so much hustling in this. And, any advice, I would just say like, reach out to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Althea and Kane said. Just to add a little bit, yes, you have to build everything. It's a business. People just think, again, they see, oh, content creator, just put a pretty picture up and people will follow you. But you are building a structure and team that has the same, you're running a business pretty much. And then the only thing I want to add is just be yourself, be authentic, and find something you're really truly passionate about.
I love that. I think that there are a couple of points that I heard there. I think Kelly, being authentic, authenticity, being yourself. I think from Kane, yes, very clearly hustling. I know a lot of hustling from Kane because Kane always calls me past midnight his time.
Yeah.
So we
He
talk
works
usually
very hard.
Yeah, we usually talk to from the times from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. his time. Yeah, basically. And I think Althea, what I really liked what you said is consistency. But I think when you say consistency, I think that really goes back to creating an identity which is authentic as well. that's how you become consistent, because you stick to who you really are. One of the things that myself, for example, as a venture capitalist, is very, very excited about is how the content economy, something that I believed in, just because of my time in China. Retail and consumer and entertainment is actually all merging. I think we can talk a little bit more later about how this entire sort of roadmap of the creator economy is sort of growing. But first of all, I wanted to ask, how has technology really changed the game for influencers like yourself, to build your own empires and to create revenue streams? And Althea, I mean, Gushcloud is doing so much, in this ecosystem, in many ways, a pioneer in Asia. Maybe you can share how technology is changing the game.
Sure. So I can start first. I think just to keep things really simple is that actually for every social media platform that's been created right now, like whether it's short content format or long content format, it's actually great for the content creators. And the reason is because if they have enough funding behind them, what's going to happen is that they would have the ability to become like the next big social media platform. But what's really important is for them to have an authentic relationship with some of the bigger content creators so that they can basically bring them over. I think that's the first point. The technologies that I see happening today are that will really help to push like the creator economy forward in the next perhaps 2 to 5 years would be a lot of SaaS tools that are built for the creator economy. A lot of SaaS tools that helps, for example, creators to understand, for example, their audiences, their data. I think these are very, very, very important to the creator economy, because rightfully we're only about 15 years old. And so it's like if you put all the creators together into a country, the country is probably about 10 or 15 years old. So now is the time whereby the SaaS tools needs to be built. The second is that as the creator economy is actually growing in terms of like value. And so recently what I've like started doing alongside my team and I started hearing is that actually if you put all the creators of the world together into a singular country, the GDP of that country would probably surpass any other countries in the world today. So which means it's extremely fast growing. Now, when that happens, it means that the income is getting higher and higher. And hence, because of that, fintech solutions need to come and participate in this creator economy. Then the third thing that I see is really live commerce tools. Well, not just live commerce, but social commerce, anything to do with commerce. And the reason is because there will be an influx of what we call creator-led brands. So incubators are going to come out. A lot of VC money is going to go there. But I think what's really important is building the tools for that. And then, of course, something that I'm deeply passionate about is like, when 5G steps in and IoT steps in, then that's where VR, AR, the entire metaverse, gaming, NFTs will probably come into place. So I think that will basically build a whole generation of micro entrepreneurs to really big entrepreneurs, specifically in the creator economy. And a lot of them will be led by content creators themselves. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Music to my ears. In a digital economy, people forget that content is king. And when you look at something like consumer brands these days, nobody is just going to buy a product anymore. When I sort of advise entrepreneurs who are building consumer brands, I always say content and social capital. And I think what influencers and creators like yourselves, Kane and Kelly, are building is both content and social capital. Almost, through your fandoms, you are basically building an entire empire, which allows you to leverage, engage, and monetize those fandoms. Kelly and Kane, in a digital economy where content is king, what do you see as the latest trends in terms of creating content? What are you guys thinking?
I think, just to bounce off that, I think being very authentic to your brand is super important. I would just want to highlight that because, I've, been Buddhist for a few years. And when it comes to like, all these endorsement deals and stuff, Althea knows like, I get deals from alcoholic brands and I turn them down. She's like, can't take lah, just take, But I'm like, I think it's very important to stay true to your brand in this, and people will recognize that people are not stupid anymore. They can see through bullshit. There's so many creators out there. I think being very authentic to your brand is very important. And what was the question, Virginia?
I was going to say, what do you think are the latest trends? Like, what kind of actually, Kane, what kind of content do you want to create? How do you want to use your influence to positively impact the world that you live in?
Just to go off that, Virginia, I'm in real estate, and real estate used to be this. You have to go to open houses every Sunday, and you look at the MLS, or listings on newspapers. It's changed completely. I actually developed a few houses, past 2-3 years, and during COVID, we're like, oh shit, how do we start marketing these houses, right? So sales were bad, the economy wasn't doing well, and I was like, hey, let's just put it on Instagram and see what happens. I mean, thankfully with the show and everything, we created, I went live on Instagram as well. That video, I think we had like 500,000 views in like a week, and I sold the houses at full asking, as full ask in terms of full ask, sorry. And yeah, it's been super amazing. And back to your social cause, I think it's very important to share that on your platform as well. I mean, we're so blessed with this platform, both Kelly and I. And during, I think the whole like Asian hate movement, we use this platform to kind of highlight that, in America, I don't know if people are familiar with what happened during time here. It was crazy. And, how do we help highlight that? So what I did was, I went to a hospital, we did like a giveaway, and we realized that all these people working in hospitals are all Asian people, and they're all pillars of America. So when I highlighted that, all the all the news and media people picked it up. It was really fun, and also like a great cause to help. Yeah, Kelly.
Yeah, and going back about technology and content. Technology gave us the access to be able to reach people globally at a quick click. Back in the day, let's say a TV show in the US, if you get 1 million viewers for this TV show, it's showed as a success. But nowadays, content creators able to reach millions and millions of people globally, all just from their cell phone. So that's why technology is so important. And as far as trend goes, I think trend changes. Right now, I think people are really into quick things, just like quick and short clips, because people's attention span nowadays is a little bit shorter. But what I do hope to see, and then for people to use social media and platform and content creation in a very positive way, because end of the day, for us to spread social awareness and advocate positive change is very important. And social media can have a platform for us to amplify our causes. And just kind of adding back to what Kane said, yeah, it's about spreading positive messages, and what are we doing? What kind of messages? And we have to have a responsibility to the community and this world as well to have this platform to spread awareness and good stuff, positive things.
Perfect. So what I'm hearing from the three of you is actually technology as enablers, Althea, right? Especially tools, to both expand, I think in terms of analytics as well as in terms of expanding monetization. Kane and Kelly, I think it's about really using your platform, to be able to spread positive messages, and then also, Kane, the very seamless merging of commerce and content. And I understand exactly what you mean, because some nights when I'm stressed, what I do is I watch Selling Sunset. and what I do is I just skip to all the parts whereby they're selling the houses, because I just want to see the houses. I don't want to hear all that bickering, but I just love it. And you're absolutely right, Kane. You just want to buy it immediately. I want to talk about a few causes very close to the hearts of you, Kelly and Kane. Kane, since we've met, in fact, that's how we met. You've always been, you're Buddhist, you're vegan, and you've always been a big advocate of the plant-based food movement. Perhaps you can share, a little more about that and how you use your platform to promote that.
So I have to really thank Althea for, bringing this together, because she was like, Kane, I think this company is perfect for you. And that's how we connected. The company is called Bird Greens and Green Rebel. They're a plant-based food company based in Indonesia. And, I was super excited. I was like, let's try the product. So when they sent me the product, I tried it. I was like, Dad, throw your money in this company, because I'm so involved in this space. I love this industry. I think that plant-based is the way to go. Especially after COVID, everyone's like more concerned about the health, and like they know the plant-based benefits. You see documentaries on Netflix, What the Health, Game Changers. People like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Simon Cowell are all vegan. Mark Cuban on Shark Tank as well. So when I found this company, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. How do I not just invest, but strategically, kind of put it on this show or my social media and help the company. So I'm really happy because I managed to kind of integrate this on the show. And actually I got Chef Martin Yan. If everyone knows, if Yan can cook, so can you. So, I was so happy to get him to do a little episode on our show and kind of, talk about the product and kind of seamlessly integrating, plant-based food on the show. And also a social cause that I'm going to attach to this project is for every plant-based food that we sell, every Burgreen Green Rebel product we sell, we're going to set up a sanctuary for animals and save these animals. I actually have a 96-acre farm in I think off Nevada that I asked my friend, I was like, hey, bro, are you open to using this sanctuary? So I think attaching a social cause is really important as well. So back to your question, Virginia, I think, it's important to highlight your personal beliefs that positively would change and help the environment. So.
No, thank you, Kane. In fact, one of the things that I admire so much about Kane, apart from he's hustling, in the middle of the night, is he's hustling for causes like this, which which is close to his heart. Going out of the way to ensure that more people eat plant-based food, more people, less animals, etc. Converting all his friends and his entire family, to eat plant-based food, which goes beyond any kind of content or show. Kelly, when we first met, actually we spoke very, very little about Bling Empire. One of the first things that Kelly told me was that, hey Virgie, actually what I'm really passionate about is mental health and empowering more women to build their own businesses. Maybe Kelly, you can share that and how you want to use your platform to highlight some of these causes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My mental health journey, it's been such a, it's been great because my first therapy session was actually filmed on camera on Bling Empire for the whole world to see. And hopefully season 2 and 3, you're able to see my journey through a little bit more. It's just because, there's such a bad stigma to mental health. When you say the word mental health, it kind of feel like it's something's wrong with you or there's something negative to it when it's not. It's just basically meaning your mental well-being, right? It could be meditation, going on a walk in nature, or just kind of taking time for yourself. So, that's obviously something I'm very outspoken about because it's helped me so much when I started looking into my own mental health. I've changed so much and I've become more grounded and also know myself more. So that's, again, it's something with like we have to do things that we're very passionate about. And when you're passionate about something, it just translates very authentically and, organically.
Absolutely, Kelly. And I'm sure.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And then for the women entrepreneurs, because I'm a female entrepreneur, all my business I have done, I've always been male dominated industries. I've invested over 20 different startup companies, and majority of them are women founders. And then we got to keep giving them a platform and keep giving, because we have to support each other. That's the end of the day, just have to support each other. How can I help somebody else? And, we just got to keep growing these women founded companies.
Thank you, Kelly. And it's a real pleasure and honor to have you, on our show, because that's everything that She Loves Tech stands for, which is to provide a platform for some of the best women entrepreneurs in the world to showcase, the technologies they're building, the companies they're building, for good. So we really, really resonate strongly with that. As all three of you in the creator economy, and all three of you actually bridge East and West. How do you see any differences between producing content in the U.S. versus the Asia or China market? And I know, Kelly, you did a lot of shows in China beforehand. Do any three of you see the differences?
For me, like I can speak for in the scripted world, right? For movies and TV shows, we definitely have a lot more freedom to create things in the US, where China, when with script, we had to really go through censorship and really comb through everything. So it's not as much freedom, quote unquote, for expression and creativity. And also another thing is, we have to also be a little bit cautious with some genres don't translate. So like comedy doesn't really translate. It might be really funny in the US, but not as funny as in China, right? And vice versa.
Althea?
I think that when you're creating content in America, specifically in Hollywood, you're actually trying to do it for a global market. But when you're doing it for like maybe in China, you're still while you want to do it for a global market, it's still towards the Chinese speaking audiences in majority parts of the world. But then, of course, if you are creating content specifically from Singapore, from Indonesia, from Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, a lot of times the content don't really translate because there's a lot of like local domestic jokes, exactly like what Kelly says. So I think that's just kind of like where the difference is. But do I think that there will be an opportunity for like the Indonesians to go to, like, for example, America to produce like a big piece of content? Absolutely, yes. I mean, if you look at the success of like 88 Rising just doing music, just having kind of like their own genre, you look at the Koreans and how they've done that. I think that's a very simple example of, yes, it can transcend, but it does take time, and it also does take quite a lot of capital. The total amount of capital that probably went into K-pop and K-drama was significantly a lot, and that is why they are where they are today. But what's also most important is that content creators are like companies that are producing content must win in their own markets first. If they don't win in their own markets, then it's going to be very hard for them to win on the global scale.
Yeah, just to bounce off Althea, I think a good example would be Singapore Social. I mean, the show was on Netflix. Unfortunately, it didn't get picked up, but like it just didn't translate to the US because it was very Singaporean, which is not a problem. But I think, how do you translate that? And I think having, Kelly, with the East background and, partnering with like Jeff Jenkins, who's like, a master in reality, how do we bring the Asian culture out in a Western way, and how, so I think it's very important to find the right partners as well.
Yeah, and I think this comes to my final question, and I think the question that a lot of people have actually been asking me, and I said, I don't know, you got to ask Kelly and Kane. What is your vision for Bling Empire? I think season 2 is coming out soon. It's almost like, what's your vision for the Bling Empire? What's next? And I think Kane, you're one of the I think you're the first Asian influencer for Fenty. For Fenty Beauty, I mean, that's really changing the game, I think, for Asian influencers. So guys, what's next? Maybe Kelly, you begin.
I mean, I think for Bling Empire, we're kind of living our vision right now, but of course we want to keep expanding because, 8 episodes, only 5 hours, we can only fit so much, and Asian culture has so much to cover. So we really hope that, as the seasons go, we can keep expanding on Asian cultures and keep bringing Asians more to the mass media, as well as expanding our stories and keep sharing our personal stories with audience. So we're just really, really looking forward to that.
No sneak peeks, no sneak previews.
My lips are tied. Ask Kane. Kane's better.
I mean, sneak preview, I think Kelly's gonna explore a lot of dating on the show.
Yay.
You saw in season 1 she was in a really rough relationship, so I think she explores that. For me, personally, I feel like shooting this show has, I think, helped me a lot in terms of my personal life. It's helping me improve. I'm also very honored to use this platform to share my insecurities, because in season 1 you see me as this the best friend and the social glue to all these friends. But in season 2, I go deep into my weight loss journey, my health, my mental health issues, my insecurities, my problems. Everyone has problems in their family. How do I explore that? Because my dad, being Asian, my dad has always wanted me to work for him and be in Singapore. But because of this platform now, he's actually allowing me to grow. And this is a lot of self-improvement on my part. And it has really changed my life. And also, I can't really share this particular deal, but it's my biggest deal so far. It's actually something with Rihanna and Fenty that will be on the show. And it kind of ties in my personal story of, most people look at my Instagram like, okay, this guy, his parents has money, or you look at this guy, he's so confident, but I'm not. I'm truly an introvert. I have so many insecurities. And with this story with Rihanna, I mean, and also I'm so grateful for her because she's such a supporter in this, especially with the AIPI movement. She was a huge supporter for the Asians. And when season 1 came up, she messaged me, she's like, Kane, when is season 2 coming out? And that's how this secret partnership has evolved. And this is a secret that I'm sharing with. She loves tech, and for me, it's really just a personal journey. How just growing and also attaching social causes such as like, veganism, and also, practicing the most important thing in Buddhism, like compassion and understanding for all cultures. I think that is something that I try to highlight on the show, and also understanding between friends. And I think we explore different relationships with different cast members. We're all forced together, to shoot a show, but how do we at the end of the day sit down together and be friends, and also and show like Asian culture and Asian ethics, work ethics and stuff. So for me, it's really a personal journey. Yes, the platform's great. Yes, we can monetize a lot. But for me, it's I would say also a healing journey. And for me, so much personal growth. And if you look, I hope you guys tune in. They're really exciting things. I share really, really personal stories. So I hope you guys enjoy. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Kane and Kelly. Kane, I think vulnerability takes true courage, especially in front of an audience of 70 million. And I think we as fellow Asians are very proud of both you and Kelly and Kane. Trust me, your entire family is watching you on the show now. I know because they asked me for the links this morning. so we all very, very proud of you. So just to round off this panel, Kelly and Kane, when are you guys coming to Asia, in particular Singapore? And when can we film you and together with She Loves Tech? When are you guys coming?
I'm actually booked my flight in January, so I'll be back. So to all the sponsors like Microsoft, P&G, I saw your list down there. Althea's is right here. So I feel like since the show is the #1, use this opportunity to use us, me and Kelly, and the other cast members, and use this opportunity of me coming back to Singapore and help promote your brands. Hustling right now, Virginia. Yeah. My dad will be proud. I'm going to be back in January.
Kane will be there more than Kane will be there in January. We'll be there in March together. And just a fun fact, if people didn't know, I actually had a home in Singapore for 2 years. So Singapore is very close to my heart, and I grew up in in the south part of China. So it's I used to go there once a month before COVID, but now hopefully we can go back more now. But we definitely miss Asia.
Also, one more thing, Virginia, I just want to give a shout out to my parents and my dad watching this. I'm so grateful for all your support. Being in LA wasn't easy for him to let me be here. And for me, I just want to say thank you to my parents. I grew up being a really rebellious son, but I've learned to practice filial piety, and I'm so grateful for my parents. And thank you, Dad. I love you. I miss you.
Thank you so much, for being here with us today. We can't wait to have you back. And my personal hustle is to get She Loves Tech on Bling Empire. So I can't wait. Right, as an entrepreneur, always hustling, right? Anyway, that's unfortunately all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Kelly, Kane, Althea. Just love having you here, and hope to see you all soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Virginia.
Okay, guys.
You.
Thank you, Virginia. Thank you.
Thanks, Virginia.
Thank you.